Hey everybody, Max here, and today I'm going to be looking at the G.I. Joe Classified Chip Raptor Talon and his Falcon General Ledger. I've been looking forward to this one. I never had him as a kid. When he was announced initially, I was really curious as to how the classified team would interpret him for the modern era. And I got to say, this was a really good idea. I really like it. Maybe there's going to be some people that are purists and want him to look more like the original figure. Maybe they'll do a retro card down the line. Wouldn't surprise me, but this seemed like a natural progression and upgrade to make this character more formidable and less of a joke, because he was definitely a joke in the comic and he was only in it for a few issues. I don't know if he was in the cartoon at all. Let me know in the comments if you ever saw him, if he was ever used there. But I really like what they've assembled here. It's very well done. They went to a lot of trouble to sculpt all the feathers and make a lot of details. I don't know, maybe there's some reuse here, maybe some Zartan reuse. I don't have Zartan, so let me know if you recognize some of this as being from Zartan or maybe Major Blood. I don't know. I missed both the classified and the retro card for Zartan, so I hope someday they re-release him again, because I really like to get him and not pay an arm and a leg for it. So, but back to Raptor, let's get the box out of the way. I mean, we got the really cool artwork. Whoever's painting these pictures is doing a fantastic job, and whoever's doing the photography is doing a really good job. So yeah. So he comes with what you see here. So he's got two claws, kind of a Glock style pistol with a compensator on it. Knife. These claws we've seen them before, maybe with Storm Shadow, definitely with Nunchuck. Nunchuck's a fairly new acquisition for me, so I know these came with him. He's got this really cool headdress that they could have skimped on, but man, they just went all out with the sculpting of the feathers all around this thing. The eyes look fantastic. The paint on the beak. There's actually darker brown on the top, lighter brown, and then the kind of tan on the edges here. And it looks really good. It's flexible plastic, and it has this kind of shape. You might have to heat it up to maybe mold it a different way, but it fits on his head fairly well. It doesn't snap in place or anything like that. It's just going to sit there, so it's going to fly off. It will fall off fairly easily, so you might want to put some handy tack on it just up in there to make it stick so it stays in place if you want to display him with that. Honestly, while it looks cool on the figure like that, I don't know if I'm actually going to display him with this because the head sculpt is so good, but I'll get into that in just a second. So knife, pistol, and his Falcon that has the hood over it. Odd choice. I was hoping for something similar to Spirit, his Eagle Freedom. Would have liked to have seen wings outstretched with the cap off of it, the hood off of it. It does peg into both arms, and I'll show that in a second. So, but the detail for what you get is decent. It's not great. I think they did a better job on Freedom, but I honestly, if I have a disappointment, it's probably this right here. I honestly while it'd be cool to have, he's shown with multiple Falcons flying around him. It would be awesome if he actually came with several flying Falcons. So I don't know where you display them, how you would use that, but it would be kind of cool. So let me get these guys out of the way, and let me talk about the figure for a bit. Now, it's not without its flaws. The head sculpt is great, like I said. I like the domino mask. There seems to be some good coloring, pretty good paint, and some detail. So that right there makes me I'm pleased with that just by itself. The head has good texture, and he's kind of has the kind of a mohawk thing going, shaped on the sides of his head. The problem that I have is with, they've gone away from the disc hinge on the neck. So this is on a ball joint. And this is a flying character. And he has, I know it's not a rat tail, but he has long hair in the back. And this is as high up as, I mean, this is as far as he goes. That's it. So I might actually cut this back part off just to give it, and then I'm gonna definitely have to do some doctoring of the neck piece to get a little more range of motion, because that's as far down as he goes. So there's barely any movement at all. It looks great, don't get me wrong, and I don't know if he's actually Native American. I don't think he was in the original. I'd have to look at the file card, but they're definitely going for a Native American look, or what they assume is a Native American look. I hope this isn't cultural appropriation or anything. But yeah, very good head sculpt. I definitely like. Eyes look really, really good. Face portrait's great. The vest is awesome. Lots of detail, good paint. It's a little off balance, but maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. I'm not sure what that jewel represents. Maybe he had him on the original figure. And that goes all the way around. They didn't skimp on the detail on the back. And you can see the same kind of color scheme. So tan, darker brown, and lighter brown on the sides. Tattoos go all the way up the back. So they could have skimped on that too. Good paint apps all the way down on the arms. Feathers on the gauntlets. Some blue there. Lots and lots of detail. Lots of detail on the, so whoever sculpted this did a fantastic job. His holster just kind of floats around. It's not attached to anything, which is slightly annoying. But you can, I mean, one positive is that you can kind of reposition it. He can be like a cross draw. He can hold it cross draw. But I'd put it down further, maybe to the back, just to get it out of the way, because that belt buckle, it's just straight silver, but the detail on it is just really well done. I can't complain about that. So as I move away, I'm just going to go ahead. There's some stiffness in the shoulders, and I'm just, yeah, I don't want to risk it. I'm sure you can I probably can heat it up and get it higher, but I'm going to just leave it right there. I know you can probably get it higher, so don't let this deter you. I'm sure it gets higher. It's just, this one's just really stiff, and I just don't want to risk it. There's a bit of a gap right here, so on this bicep swivel, it's a little loose. Sometimes the pegs are a little longer, or maybe the hole in the bicep, the upper arm, isn't as deep as it needs to be. It's not the same on this one. So, and for a pinless figure, there's a little more play in the elbows, which bothers me. And so it's fluid, but it feels a little loose in the arms and the elbows. So that's one of the things that's a little bit of a flaw. Ab crunch kind of wobbles. That doesn't bother me too much, as long as it's not like Firefly bad. It goes forward that far, back that far. You can get it kind of, you can twist it. I'm always afraid I'm going to break it. But once you do, it's going to kind of flop around. So there's a little floppiness to this guy that is disappointing. He does have the drop down, yep, standard drop down hips. So he's got pretty good range of motion on the splits. He can kick fairly high. I mean, about 90 degrees. Very stiff. Well, I guess I've loosened it up some. So thigh swivel, which I always like. Pouches. I haven't tried taking these off, but I imagine it would be difficult getting them over these particular boots. The boots look great too, but I don't know if I'll keep the pouches. Maybe take this one off and maybe try to mount that holster, or maybe have a spare one and put it there just to get rid of this guy. Knife goes in here, so not a real sheath, not an enclosed sheath anyway. Pretty good retention on the holster for the Glock there. And then we come to another issue. This particular, very loose. Ooh, not happy about that. Pretty good range of motion, but not happy with how loose that is. I haven't had a figure that loose in a while. Right leg, don't have the same problem. Maybe a little loose on the upper part of the knee. Good, pretty good paint on this kind of grayish blue that goes down the middle, and you can see the design on the boots has falcon talons on both feet. Pretty good paint. This is fairly flexible but not flimsy. And boot swivel. And pretty good ankles. Your typical articulation. So yeah, so that's him. He's like I said, he's a little floppy. That really bothers me. So I don't know if I'll keep him and put some glue in there, or maybe just send him back and try my chances on something with a few better joints. If you have him already, you may, of course, if you're watching this video, you may be trying to decide whether to get him or not, and the problems that I'm having might deter you. But it looks very good. It's a great looking character, great looking figure. They just went all out. He might have kind of a weird story as to how he came to work for Cobra, but yeah, with everything that he comes with, I can see this guy being a danger to the Joes. So, all right, so let's get him off to the side. Oh, let me just say this. One thing that concerns me, and why I probably would put some glue, is I have tried to, this thing is fairly, the wing pack is fairly light. He will support it, but with a loose joint like that, you may need a stand. So I tried him with a Cobra stand, and he stands a little bit better. Just kind of concerned that with a loose joint, particularly in the knees, that he'll fall over and damage this thing, because it is fairly thin, which I imagine it had to be in order to keep the weight down, but it's got good articulation. I would be very careful with it. This is one of those things where I don't think this particular figure needed a higher age range, not a 4+, probably more like a 12+, just because I can't see a 4-year-old. If you give this to a 4-year-old, this isn't going to last for very long. A 4-year-old is going to destroy it. But there's definitely some, you can do a lot of variations on it. Good detail on the wings, silver tips here, keeps the color scheme going, tan and brown. There's some silver Paint's pretty good here. I was curious as to how this thing was supposed to, like, in theory, function. And it looks like these are meant to be thrusters. So they have I guess, like scorch marks there. And I kid you not, I was surprised at this. Based on the pictures I saw, I thought this part right here, these two pieces right here, I thought they stood higher. They're fairly thin, like almost non-existent. They're almost completely flat. They don't hardly stick out at all. And maybe they just kind of faked us out with some shadowing, and I don't know, maybe that was a prototype or something, but it just seems like that right here, these thrusters should be higher, equivalent to this. It's a minor gripe. It's a very minor gripe. So anyway, so you got a lot of detail. Just be careful with it. It doesn't feel, I hesitate to say brittle, but it's definitely light plastic. So just be aware of that, because I would be afraid that if you displayed it and it fell off a flight stand onto the ground, it would definitely break. So just be careful. And over to this side. And this is going to sound like I'm nitpicking, but these fans look great. Don't get me wrong. The paint looks good. The design looks good. But, yes, this is fantasy, but you would think that these would be, if this is meant to be lift, these are fans for lift, that would be the primary means of lift. They would blow down, and then the thrusters would thrust you forward and until you got into the air. But they'd have to be on both sides to intake the air, right? So instead, we have fans on one side and no fans on the other. So unless they're thinking, well, that's for cooling, maybe, okay, cooling for the thrusters, perhaps. So anyway, I don't know if anybody else noticed that. It's, again, just one of those things I just kind of scratched my head over what the reasoning was. And I would imagine it was just, it looks cool, and so let's throw it in there. But it's, like I said, it's a minor gripe, and just wanted to kind of have a little chuckle about it. So, all right, so let's get this guy on here. It does, I guess another minor gripe is there's only one peg. So I did a video on the Mandalorian figure a little while ago, and it had 3 pegs. I can see, for a pack that spreads out like this and isn't just a jet pack on a Star Wars figure, it would be better if there were a better mounting. Now, it's on there good. It fits in there really well. But you see, it's already kind of having some issues with standing. So, but there you go. Okay, so that's why I think if you're having problems with the knees, I'm going to have to use a stand to keep him upright. Or, of course, why stand him up? He's meant to fly, so grab you a flight stand. Sorry I didn't have one handy. Otherwise, I would have displayed him with that. But solid. You've seen probably the promo pictures, so there's a number of different. It's got good posability, but sweeping the wings forward a little bit, it's going to cause him to topple forward. Sweeping them back, he's going to topple backwards. So yeah, I would have preferred a more robust mounting system than just one long peg in the back. But for what he looks fantastic. It's just maybe in some of the execution. Now, maybe I'm just having some QC issues here. Maybe a different figure would be better, but everything aesthetically, it's a great figure, and I'm really glad that I got it. I just think it could have, maybe, like I said, I just need better joints. I don't know, maybe I'll send it back and see if I can get a better one, maybe just exchange it. I got it off of Target for the 25% off coupon that they have. So I might do that just to see if I can get just a better one. But I don't know. Hopefully nobody else has had the same issues. Oh, and sorry, I didn't do this, but these claws will not fit over the hands. I tried the nunchuck claws and they don't fit either. So they fit, sorry, I know I'm not really demonstrating well, but they kind of go that far. So I may sand down the interior a bit so that they fit better. And the hinges on the joints, on the wrists, I should say, very stiff, very, very stiff. Be careful. I've heated them up and they'll move, but then once they cool off, they're back to being very stiff. I've tried oil and even that doesn't really work. So they're pretty much fixed where they are. And the pegs are fairly small, so be careful. You may end up cracking them. So, or if you have extra hands, dye them brown, paint them brown, and swap them out and see if those are better. Maybe have some extra hands from another character. So it's not without its flaws, but it is a really good looking figure. Hopefully everybody else is having some better luck with it than I am, but on a whole, I'm fairly happy. If I didn't have the loose joints, I would probably rate this guy higher. So if I get, let's say I swap it out and get a better one, I'll do an update and with a higher rating. But as it stands now, I'm going to give him a warp factor of 8.5. I think if his joints were better, and I think it would rate higher. Oh, and I'm so sorry, I didn't even mention the butterfly joint is probably the worst butterfly joint I have ever seen. It's practically non-existent. It's in there, but there is, so you can go all the way around, but the vest gets in the way, but there is practically no movement. So this may be one of those things where you have to take the arms off and snip a peg. I've seen people modify it a bit. So the design choice for the shoulder, or the butterfly joint, was not well chosen. So anyway, despite all that, I'm still going to give him an 8.5 for what you get for the design, the look, the paint. For the most part, warp factor 8.5. All right, guys, thanks for listening. I know it might be a little bit longer, but I hope you're having a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll talk at you later.